All right, Monday. Hi. Today is Monday after quite a weekend. My wife and I played the World Wrestling version of Don't Break the Ice. I don't know if you ever played that game, but it's a little table with ice cubes in it, a little guy in the middle. You try to break the ice without making the guy fall. Pretty incredible game, I must say. And when you do the World Wrestling Federation one, I mean, it takes it to a new level. This week is going to be super fun. Today, we were going to have a demonologist on. Yes, a demonologist. Not the bad kind of demonologist, not somebody that, I guess... One of the demons got me, I think. They got me for a second there, but I'm back. And I am in the presence of greatness. Ganell is here. Todd is here. Speaking of the Moose Lodge. We are speaking of the Moose Lodge. The Moose Lodge is a dream vacation place that one of our viewers, Todd Lee, actually dwells there. And this is some video that he sent me, and I'm sharing it with y'all. These are elk. Yes, they are. They are elk, and you can see them dancing around. This is Lunch Therapy. Lunch Therapy is a show where we take the time to breathe, take the time to chill, have some fun, look around the porch a little bit. So let's take in some air. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Yes, the demon took over mid-sentence. And let it go. The demon is running the board. Yeah, so today you got just me. Tomorrow you have me and Lauren Wesley Ackerman, who is here in the chat room today. We're going to have a good time. I was listening to his daughter has a podcast. Holy Mary. I'm glad to see everybody here because today is a wacky day. It is the beginning of the week, the march towards Halloween, and that can be kind of scary. Did you cover the irony of Moose Lodge? No, I did not cover the irony of Moose Lodge. I would love to hear that. But today, there's going to be a lot of moose talk. There's going to be tons of moose talk. Here's a sign of the Loyal Order of the Moose. Does not really relate to the Moose Lodge at all, but there's a lot of moose on this show, and I wanted to acknowledge that. Yeah, Matt, you missed a demon. A demon took over for a second. I mentioned a demon's name, and all of a sudden, Boney was like crashed right in there with the beginning of the show. Yeah, so what I was explaining, let's do one more breath, or second breath, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Yeah, so what I was explaining was, there has been a big subscription drive for this show to get more subscribers so that we can be YouTube partners. So we've been pushing for 1,000. I ask your help. I think that a very Bullwinkle the Moose. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of moose on this show. This is an all moose show, wall to wall moose, except for the elk behind me. But we'll discuss that later. So I've been doing this campaign to get more subscribers. And what I do, and I invite you to do this as well, is you get on the Facebook Messenger if you're on Facebook. This seems like a very effective way. Maybe if you don't have Facebook, you just get on your SMS, text message, and you just say, hey, my friend Joel's got this show. If you would subscribe, right now we're trying to get to 600 subscribers. And it's very effective. Lots of people are like, hey, that's easy. Whoa, yeah, it doesn't cost anything. Woohoo, I'm going to do that. So I've been doing that. And it's great because I meet all kinds of people, and all kinds of comedians are out there on my friends list because we're all comedians who are out there. So we're going to have a lot more comedians coming on the show. But I made the choice this time to get a demonologist on the show. And she's super interesting. Her name is Christy Stevens. She's not a demon, although I don't know, what invoked the demon before in the show, but she is a demonologist, meaning that she studies demons, but she is apparently a religious person, some kind of Christian person. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. And she was on the show Haunted Hospitals. You ever seen the show Haunted Hospitals? I have never seen it. For your information, panning to the left because the hummingbirds were buzzing near me in the theater. Oh! And because we are the cult of the hummingbirds, we got a cult of the hummingbird. We got to look at the hummingbirds. So that's what's going on in the video. Anyway, so I took a chance. I watched the episode of Haunted Hospital with her on there, and she's super cool, Christy, and she lives in West Virginia. And in the episode of Haunted Hospitals, what happened was she was a counselor, a guidance counselor at this hospital for kids, or this place where kids had psychological problems. And there was one kid there that seemed like she was possessed with a demon. This is Halloween, so we can talk about this stuff. I know it's not paranormal week, but it is Halloween week. And it's Moose Day. This has nothing to do with mooses, but what happened was, I'm glad you told me. I was starting to feel like I was on the scrambler. Yeah, why don't we change the background here, because I'm here, this will relax us a little bit. If we get here, but I don't know, there could be a demon. Could be a demon. So what happened was, this little kid was having all these crazy episodes where she's screaming and acting like a demon, and everybody's trying to hold her down and tie her down to the bed and stuff. And then other times you talk to her and she's totally normal. So she was having these psychotic episodes. Well, Christy, she, became friends with her and saw that she was just a normal kid with normal kid problems, but the kid was drawing these pictures of this tall, slender man in a black hat that was dressed in a black suit, I think, with demon eyes. She was drawing the pictures of it, and it just so happens Christy had seen this guy in the hallway. So she was like, yeah, I've seen that guy before. And it's not like a guy, it's like a ghost. But Christy, for some reason, maybe because she's a demonologist, I don't know, she was just not that freaked out about it. So Todd built a replacement hospital built in the late 1800s that was haunted. The ghost nurse screwed with the elevator and ride with you every once in a while. Did you ever see the ghost? Did you see this ghost? Yeah, haunted hospitals are scary. Cade Alexi is here. Hi. Cade is a comedian as well. He's going to be on the show telling a crazy story someday. We don't know when it is, but it's up to him. So she saw the guy in the hallway. The kid was drawing the guy. She's like, yeah, I've seen that guy too. Don't worry about it. She actually tells the kid, don't tell anybody else about it. And I think it's because she thinks everybody's going to think she's nuts. And so what happens is, then Christy goes home that night and she's sleeping and she has a dream, a nightmare. She has a nightmare. And in the nightmare, she sees the girl screaming, and the guy is in the corner. The guy I forgot to tell you, the guy scratches her and tries to strangle her and all this stuff in the night. So the girl's really tormented by this guy. And apparently she has these huge scratches, like when my cat Charlie Brown gets too excited and scratches me on the face. It's like those kind of scratches, like an animal. So Christy has this dream where she sees the girl in the room screaming and fighting with the man, the demon. And she goes to the room and she holds up a cross, like in The Exorcist. She holds up this cross and, tells the demon that Jesus tells it to go away. And just like in The Exorcist. Maybe you've seen The Exorcist, scariest movie in the world. But this is lunch therapy, so this is just a delightful tale. Holds the cross up, and the demon can't handle it. Can't handle all the faith and disappears. Yeah. And the next day, Todd needs to tell that story about the hospital because that's pretty intense. Pendleton, Oregon, older nurse with traditional nurse attire. I didn't see her in the elevator, but I did in the hallway. Yeah. Spooky. So this is the spooky end of this story is Christy Stevens went to the hospital that day after having that nightmare. She woke up and like, that was horrifying. She went to the hospital and the girl was fine. Totally fine. And they were like, she was screaming bloody murder in the middle of the night. And we have the surveillance footage of what happened. And they looked at it. And Christy was in the footage, standing there with the cross, making the demon go away. I guess you couldn't see the demon because they can't be filmed, I don't think, right? And but no, this is a happy story because the demon never came back. That's the way I get rid of Ganell. I just hold up a cross in his face and he runs. The demon never came back, and apparently they have like footage of her in there, and so they're like, how did this happen? And what they think is that she had some kind of astral projection and went there and exorcised that demon. The other interesting thing about Christy Stevens is that she used to manage a McDonald's. So that's kind of a cross thing that, a lot of times we dip into the idea of McDonald's. What's up with McDonald's? Why are they trying to, feed all this sugar and salt and fat to little kids and give them terrible habits? We can also ask Christy. She doesn't do it anymore. Now she manages a gas station. So we're going to have her on. I think we might have to pre-tape the story, though, because she has another couple of stories that she's going to tell us right here on the show. Never before heard stories on any. I don't know if they've been heard in other places. But let's move on with the show because we have next. That is awesome, right? Christy Stevens. We're going to see this person. She was going to be here today, but you know what happened? She has been working 30 days straight. This is what kind of world we're living in. She's been working 30 days straight every single day. And you know what happened today? She got called into work early. So that's a lesson for me, maybe to pre-tape some of these things so that we don't have an incident like last week. We had Joe Menente on the show. I don't know if you guys, a lot of you all were there. But that was a fiasco because he runs the fourth wall. He's the sole proprietor of this establishment, hasn't had anybody come in to buy a pizza in 2 weeks. And of course, the minute we start the show, a whole group of people come in to buy a pizza. That was crazy. Astral projection must be what Sai Baba was doing. Kamala says, Sai Baba, in case you don't know, Sai Baba was an Indian guru that was, I think he was struck by lightning as a child or maybe bitten by a snake. And then he had all these incredible powers like that. He reached some form of enlightenment. And then what would happen, Sai Baba, I wish I had a picture. We'll have to talk about it in the future. But he would be able to, he would be able to conjure things. The actual pronunciation of conjure is conjure, believe it or not, conjure. He would conjure things. That sounds weird, conjure. But anyway, he would conjure things. I'm going to say conjure because conjure is just, I don't know, it sounds a little weird to me. So he would conjure apples, say, or some kind of fruit for his friends and be like, have some food. And they're like, wow, how'd you do that, Sai Baba? And he had his hair out to here, and he wore these orange robes, and he was super interesting. And the rest of his life, he would heal people, and people would come from all over India and all over the world. But the thing about astral projection that Kamala is mentioning here is that he was sometimes seen in several places at once, or at least 2 places at once that were completely disparate places, really far away from each other. And he was astrally projecting himself, supposedly. Yes, we are now calling, when Joe Menente was on the show, we are now referring to that as Pizzagate. Some of you know that as a conspiracy that people get caught up in, but we'd like to rebrand that to just the time Joe Menente was on lunch therapy and he all of a sudden had to make a pizza. That was Pizzagate. Mary says it was a radioactive spider. Everyone knows that. Sai Baba was bitten by a radioactive spider, right? And then he could climb buildings, and he wore like a really tight suit, and it covered his face. And he made several movies, and where lots of different people played him. I think they say conjure in Pittsburgh. They say, I think that robot is conjuring some Stillers tickets. He would be at a dinner party speaking to thousands of people on the other side of India at the same time. He would be at a dinner party and speaking to thousands of people on the other side of India at the same time. Astral projection. Astral projection. All right, let's move into the subscriber update because we're exploding out there on the internet. So we're exploding so much that yesterday somebody contacted me just to criticize me. So we're doing well. We're doing well when people are starting to say, hey, you're doing it wrong. Here we go. This is the new subscriber update that I conjured. Subscriber update. And how many subscribers do we have? Are there any guesses out there? Well, I guess you can just look at it. These are some of the new subscribers rolling at the bottom. And the total is 572. It might even be 573 now. So we're really moving. Our goal by Sunday was 550, but we hugely surpassed that goal. And I thought it seemed sort of impossible. It just goes to show you I was wrong about that. So yeah, we got some great people subscribing too. You can see their names going on down there on the bottom. Really cool people. Some people from Washington, some people from Los Angeles, some people from Europe, all over the world. People subscribing. Wow. Yes. Wow is the word for it. Astral projection seems an awful lot like television. Love the Greyhound graphic. That is pretty cool. 572. Great work, everybody. Just keep up the great work. I'm going to be, cranking the internet crank. Just send people a link to the show. That show last Friday with Joel Jeske. If anybody didn't see that, that was a cool show because he's a master clown. It's a good one to get out there. And yes, it's actually 573. I wondered about that. Look down. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, it's 573. That's great. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed and you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, just go to YouTube and press that little bird in the corner. Or you hover over it just like a hummingbird, and then you choose subscribe. All right, let's get into the meat of the show, which is about moose. So moose. Why moose? Joel, why moose? Well, I'll tell you, because moose seems to be a weird theme on the show. There's things that just seem to recur on the show, and you just got to wonder, what is it? Is it some kind of demon that's helping us along on the show? That show Friday was almost as stressful as the Hawks game last night. Yeah, Seahawks game. Oh, we won't even get into the Seahawks game last night. Because this show, I think I'm going to put that in the news cycle. That's the news cycle. Oh my God, yeah, Kamala said that game was insane. You know, good football games. Good football games sometimes end in a loss. This is a moose behind me. A moose, and it's calf. That's a moose and its calf. The thing about moose is all mooses are deer. I know, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. All mooses are deer? Yeah. And all moose are deer, and all deer are not moose, of course. Now we're talking football game. Really, yeah. One would think that we had it after the kicker missed. That's for sure. All moose are deer, and all deer are not moose. There are lots of different types of moose. So I was confused because we have the beautiful elk that we're seeing up at the Moose Lodge. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. The elk are at the Moose Lodge. It's too confusing for me. I can't handle it. What's a moose? What's an elk? And then deer. They're all deer. They're all deer. In fact, in Europe, the moose is called elk. And moose are huge, by the way. They are ginormous, which brings me to the watch party. They are like, you know, a moose can be way up to a ton. Yeah. Me too. What? I know. I think, yeah, I know. Yesterday was not a good football game. I'm calling bullshit on the conjure pronunciation. Hey, you know, I'm a trained thespian, so I am an expert on saying the word conjure, and I am also an expert on saying the word duke, as we all know. It's not Duke. Even if you went to Duke, it's Duke. I know. Liquid U, they call it. You're learning things. We're all learning things. But Ganell is not the right person to ask because he says 11 instead of 11. He just doesn't understand. Doesn't understand that it's not exactly... There's subtleties to the English language. Watch party time. We're going to first watch a lady petting a wild moose in Alaska. Moose like the cold. They love the cold. So if you see a moose and he's outside and you go, hey, come inside, warm yourself by the fire, he's probably not going to come in, and he's not being rude. He's not being rude. They just don't like the heat. And you know why they don't like the heat? Because of ticks. Yeah. Because sometimes a moose can get like seriously 100,000 ticks. Yeah. There's the conjure thing. Joel is a cunning linguist. You better believe it. Oh, no. Moose are in Lake Chelan. Someone took a picture last summer of 3 of them by Bear Mountain. I'd like to see. Yeah, that, you know, actually when I was researching moose, they did say Lake Chelan, weirdly enough, because I think it's the only place in Washington where there are moose. Mulva concurs on the Liquid U. Thank you very much. Another thespian out there. Let's take a look at the lady petting the wild moose in Alaska. This is from a channel called
She's like trying to touch
Manager Adventures.
It's not a good idea.
That's what we were hoping for today, was a manager adventure from Kristen Stevens, she manages a gas station now. Well, she does her demonology. Yeah, good cunning linguist and a good breaststroker. It's all on my resume. Mary's like, Kamala, don't say that. I know. It's too much information, like they say. All right, so there we go with that. There's the moose. You can actually pet them. But, okay, so they're gigantic. They're like...
We're still working
I don't know why I
on
have
that
this in here.
being
But
nice to people part.
this
But maybe
is
I
news,
shouldn't
guess.
work on that too much because he obviously took care of the house.
There was
Tonight, a 6 on Your Side exclusive. A Meridian man's
is breaking
pet
news.
squirrel literally goes nuts on a would-be burglar.
2017.
The man returned home last week and discovered someone broke into his house and tried to steal his guns.
The burglar able to grab a few small things before things got a little
Did they say try to steal his
squirrely.
guns?
6 on Your Side's Lacey Darrow live in studio with
gutsy.
the exclusive story.
Trying to steal guns.
Don, Michelle, some people have guard dogs, maybe even a protective cat, but it's a Meridian man's pet rodent that's being hailed a hero.
Adam Pearl walked into his Meridian home Tuesday and realized something didn't
Squirrel
seem right.
goes nuts on a burglar.
came in the front door.
I bet you didn't think you'd be seeing this today.
Well, I saw snow prints out in the front driveway going to the back of the house. And so I thought something was awry because nobody usually goes through the yard.
Adam was immediately greeted by his pet squirrel Joey when he got home, but then he started noticing a few doors were open. After making his way to the back bedroom, his fear was confirmed once he started looking at his gun safe.
I started looking at it, and I saw the scratches that were around the locking area. And at that point, I knew somebody was definitely in here messing around.
Adam called Meridian Police, and when Officer Ashley Turner came out to take a look, Joey just had to say hello.
And during her investigations, Joey,
I think squirrels are smart.
Run in the bedroom, just screwing around like he always does, between her legs, and kind of startled her. And she says, "Whoa, what was that?" I said, "Don't worry about that. That's just Joey." Pet squirrel, you know.
There you go.
Officer
Turner
asked Adam if Joey would bite.
We're moving on. I don't know why I'm showing squirrels on Moose Day. This is a squirrel drinking from a bottle. I think maybe Rocky and Bullwinkle, a squirrel and a moose, that's maybe the tie-in. I don't know. But we'll see what else is here. Okay, here's a moose. This is going to give you an idea how big these moose are. By the way, a group of moose is called a herd. Kind of boring. You got to come up with a new one for that. Squirrels are rats with fuzzy tails. Oh no. Matt took an injured squirrel to the animal shelter once at the insistence of my wife, wrapped my hand up to stay safe, and he still bit the shit out of my hand. I know, that's the thing about squirrels is they're kind of dangerous, and they have claws that are so much sharper than you would imagine. And that's why they can climb up in the trees like that. So look at this gigantic moose. I've got so much to say about moose. I don't even know. It's never going to fit in this show. There's so much. You had to get a tetanus shot, and oh no, they put the squirrel down immediately. Oh, that was a sad, sad tale, Matt, right? I tell you. A mess of moose. I like mess of moose. But the problem is that moose are like octopus. For one thing, the plural of octopus is octopus, and the plural of moose,
He decides to come towards
moose.
us, we'll have to go to the right. Okay.
Yeah. And they're like octopus in that they don't hang out with other moose. They don't like moose. Moose don't like moose. Go figure. Here's another moose. Moose seem to like people, though. They don't want to eat your carrot. I'll tell you that. No real rabies threat in Washington. Tetanus, though. George Costanza saved a squirrel by running it over. So yeah, this is from the channel. They're called SIGP 2101 Friendly Moose Experience. So yeah, there's a lot of friendly moose out there. Okay. Oh, this is just, there's no way I'm going to get through all the moose material. I'm going to hit the Trash Panda comedy room because we gotta, well, okay. Let me just do one more moose thing.
For president? President of the captain's place?
Some of you know this show.
President of the school? Surely not president of the United States.
Captain Kangaroo.
I can't believe it. Mr. Moose!
Why are you saying Captain
Mr. Moose,
Kangaroo?
I have to talk to you. Whatever you're doing, come here, please.
I think that's where I was first introduced to moose.
And you are my friends. And don't let anybody tell you that you're not my friends.
Mr. Moose.
I come here today to ask you to vote for me, Mr. Moose.
Mr. Moose.
Just a second, son. I'll be with you in a moment.
Son?
As I was saying, if you elect me as President of the United States, every American will have antlers.
Mr. Moose.
Even the uncles of the whole United States.
Mr. Moose.
Same thing. We'll all live in the forest.
Mr. Moose.
And all of our friends will be bunny rabbits.
Mr. Moose!
Yes, young man, what can I do for you?
Young man, don't you have any idea who I am?
Stand up taller. Oh, it's you, the captain.
It certainly is.
Yes.
What's this nonsense about you running for president?
Well, it's a free country. Why can't a moose be president?
It's a good
Well,
point.
I don't know
think this
why
is
a
kind of
moose.
the
No
start
reason. Of course, you have to be
tragedies that
35
occurred.
years old to be
You gotta be
president.
35 years old.
35?
Right.
It says nothing
Do
about being a
people
human. I
really
don't think.
get that old?
Take my word for it.
So yeah, I think that he should have run. I don't think Captain Kangaroo should have talked him out of it because, I mean, look where we are now. It'd be so much better if we had a moose. I will absolutely vote for Mr. Moose. This is just a picture of this is just a video of a moose. And I guess I'm going to have to wrap it up. I do have one more thing that jeez, it's just too much. I don't know what I would have done if I had Christy on the show today because there's just so much moose content. The other thing about a moose. Okay, let's just get into the Trash Panda Comedy Club. Just okay. Yeah, we're in the Trash Panda Comedy room here because it's just too much. Check out those rad hair wing sideburn things. Yeah, so that's from one of the videos. The thing about moose. Okay, moose. I've been thinking a lot about moose lately. This is the stand-up about moose. Hey, everybody. Joel Marshall. Yeah, he's here. Here he is, the famous Joel Marshall. Yeah, it's great to be here in the Trash Panda Experimental Room where we just talk about, I've been thinking a lot about moose lately. And what I'm thinking about is, what's the plural of moose? Is it mooses? Meese? Mouse? I don't know. No, it actually turns out it's moose. And moose are huge. Moose are at least 6 feet tall. They can weigh up to a ton. And that's why they gave them the name moose. Because moose actually means eater of twigs. There's some debate. It may also mean likes to rub trees. And they do like to rub trees because they're basically deer, but they're giant deer they're deer with a thyroid problem. And they've got, those giant antlers that can weigh like 40 to 80 pounds on their head. And you can imagine what that's like. And the thing is, they get covered with this fur that is like moss. It's like a moss. And they got to rub the moss off. I don't know why. Why don't they just make antlers that don't have moss on them? So they got to rub the moss off. So what they do is they go on the trees and they rub the moss off on there, and they end up there's blood flowing through that skin that covers their horns. So they end up with these really bloody looking antlers. I don't have a picture. I had a picture. I had some pictures. And you're like, what, did it get into a fight with a bear? What do you call a moose wearing a mask? Anonymous. That's good. In the Trash Panda Comedy Club, it's all setups and no punchlines. Makes sense because moose are deer and the plural of deer is deer. Who knew that? I didn't know that. The things we're learning on this moose show are incredible. The other thing about moose is that they don't really have many natural predators. I don't know if humans are natural, but that's one of their predators. The only thing that can really take down a moose is like a Bengal tiger, but the moose lives in super cold climates like Canada. And so I don't know if there are a lot of Bengal tigers up there in Canada. So it's pretty safe. But usually they die from ticks. They get ticks in there, and it's horrible. It's horrible. My favorite moose thing, I'm gonna have to show you. My favorite moose thing is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Let's skip through. Oh wait, you got to see this. This show's kind of all over the place, I know. But we were going to have a demonologist on here. And so we're just lucky to make it through alive. Especially after that crazy thing that happened in the beginning of the show. And wait till you see this. Talk about lucky to make it through alive. Wait till you see this. This is nutso. This is bonkers. Can you imagine being out in the snow? I mean, it's scary enough.
Il y a quelqu'un en arrière.
Being lost in the snow.
C'est quoi qu'il y a en arrière?
I think this is another language, or another language from what I'm speaking. Let's get. It's gonna happen. Wait for it. Wait for it. The show's almost over, unfortunately. But we have time to see this. Here he comes. That's the other thing about moose. Is they can run really fast, like 15 miles an hour, which is like as fast as a scooter. Look at that. Holy shit, the guy says. Holy shit, they say. They know English. And then okay, and then the other thing. I'm just going to end this on this, which is the credits to Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There's some moose talk in here. There's subtitles to the credits, which is kind of genius. And they start talking about moose. I don't know if y'all can see that. There's a thing signed by Richard Nixon. The Majestic Moose. A moose once bit my sister. And then this. This is one of the parts of Monty Python and the Holy Grail that everybody forgets, is the whole moose part of it. Mind you, moose bites can be pretty bad. I don't know if there's any more moose stuff. Moose, oh, there's a lot of moose credits. Moose trained by Herman. That's quite a name. Moose costumes. This is like the beginning of the movie, I think. They always say, like, start the movie out really strong so they can keep people going, keep people interested. This is the way they started this movie, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's the end of the movie. All right. It's time for the dance party. Thank you, everybody, for joining the show. There's more stuff in that the credit sequence that I think you should check out. Maybe somebody in the chat room can tell me, are those credits in the beginning of Monty Python, or are they at the end? Maybe you can tell me during the dance party. It's going to be kind of a short dance party because I just want to give you a taste of this. This is a guy named Andrew Huang, who has a channel on YouTube called Andrew Huang, Huang. And let's just see what some people say. There's a lot going on. Let's just get to the dance party because it kind of wraps things up perfectly. And you'll see why in a minute. Here we go. This is pretty incredible. I think Sue Pascal sent me this. Yeah, I had some great pumpkin things that I were going to show on the show today, but that really has to do with the thing when Christy's on, so we're going to have to save those pumpkin things. But this is just music, and I'm talking over it. Things you can do with pumpkins and squash and other things. Is there a mythical half man, half moose? I don't know. That's a good question. There should be. Tiniest creature brings down the biggest one. I know, it's true. It's true. The tick. There's really nothing else that can bring down a moose. I mean, maybe a polar bear. Half lady, half moose is called a loose. There they are. They are at the end. As in boy. I shouldn't just say all comments. Just show something. Anyway, so this is Andrew Huang. Check out, subscribe to his channel. Get over there, Hummingbirds. He has a lot of subscribers, lots more than me. Great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. All right, we'll see you all. This has been Lunch Therapy.